Hey, everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Paul.
And this time we're talking. Well, actually, Paul doesn't know what we're going to talk about. We're doing another one of our blind questions where we ask each other a question that the other one has had no time to prep for. And it's my turn to ask Paul a question this time. So, Paul, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Well, then I am going to ask you, what do you think so far has been the best decade in cinema?
Oh, you.
I told you I was going to get you back. He's asked me some tough questions in the past already, folks. So if this seems mean, and while Paul's thinking, I'll do a little bit of talking. So I'm not. This question is not to do with technical innovation or anything like that, because that's not a good way to compare decades. Also, a decade is from the 0 to the 9. Okay. All right, so you can't say from 85 to 95. I want 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 30s. Noughties, if you want to say the 2000s or 2010s. And you know what, folks? I've now bought him enough time that I'm going to start hearing what way he's thinking of this. So, Paul, what's been coming to your mind?
I'm very close to either the 80s or the 90s. Those two, I think, is some of the greatest movies ever done are in those two decades.
Yeah.
And personally, I have to speak about the 90s because that's when I grew up.
Right.
So I'm going to, because that's the decade that kind of I eventually went back to and started watching all of the stuff that I used to watch and what got me into cinema like overall. So I'm going to go for it because you also have Jurassic Park and a bunch of Steven Spielberg, like a good portion of Spielberg's work was in the 90s as well. So, but the 80s is so close. The 80s is so close because it's the rise of the action star thing. It's, there's tons of really good, some of the best sci-fi I love is from the 80s and stuff. So, like, it's a real...
Some of the best social commentary and social questioning. People forget that Kramer versus Kramer, etc. Like, there were plenty of deep and meaningful movies. Like the 80s wasn't all just action either.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. No, but you have some of the greatest movies that are done, I think, in those two decades.
Well, can I tell you, folks, this was a strategic question. The number one reason I asked this of Paul is that Paul couldn't ask it of me. Genuinely.
I'm asking it now.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The onus was on you to. You're the one in the hot seat. Like, obviously, my thinking would be the same as you. There's a huge part of me that wants to say, the 70s. There is a huge part of me that wants to say that because I think there's so much in the 70s that was built on from there. You've got your French connections. You've got everything from Westerns to God knows what else that did some great work. And you've got the Hitchcock films, you've got the real movie stars that were still left, the Cary Grants of this world, whatever was happening from the 50s that carried into the 70s. But I'm kind of with you. The 90s, there's such a good case to be made, but every time I think of this, my brain kind of goes, but some of the greatest films in the history of time were made between 83 and 88. There's a 5-year span in that decade that you're like, for family movies, I would say there's no contest. Like, if we were doing this by genre, like the 80s nailed family movies. Steven Spielberg alone, between him and Lucas and some Goonies and some E.T.s and some Indiana Joneses. My pick, if I had to wrestle it could change from day to day, but I'd usually be like 80s or...
Like, I definitely agree. Yeah. Like, that's my thing. It's 80s or sorry.
Hey.
Excuse me.
I love that.
It's either the 90s or the 80s. That's the only two that I kind of I narrowed down into because you could go back even further if you really wanted to, because you said the greatest decade. Yeah. Kind of thing. And the great decade to me would be the 90s because I grew up in it. The 80s would have become one of the greatest decades for me later on, kind of thing. But from a history kind of I guess perspective, you go earlier and stuff like that back even further, kind of thing. But for me personally, it's the 90s like kind of thing.
Gotcha. And one of the reasons it's a tough one is because when you like, and let's give the 90s its props, even from my side. I kind of bailed out quick there to just pick the 80s, but there's some of the genres are perfected in the 90s. Like, honestly, I think, you take something like True Lies and look at the combination of action, comedy, etc. You've got some standout movies. You've got your Good Will Hunting, like 98 and 99 alone, towards the end of it all, had The Matrix, Good Will Hunting, As Good as It Gets, all sorts of, just hit after hit after hit that were sometimes the end of some amazing actors' careers, sometimes were the start of other amazing actors' careers.
Yeah.
Same thing for directors and writers. Like, it is a Sophie's choice of a question. It's crazy to try and work out what the right answer is. The reason I say 80s or is because I have to also then, like, I could make a case for the 60s. I could easily make a case for the 70s. And I could definitely make a case for the 90s. And maybe even the 2000s. But honestly,
Oh yeah,
it would always be 80s or 90s or 80s or 70s or 80s or 2000s. So in my head, I'm like, to be fair, then I should just bite the bullet. I want to say 90s along with you, Paul, but it'd be unfair and untrue.
no, I get it. Like, yeah, the early 2000s, like 2000 to 2010, is also a great genre, but it just, as you say, it's built on the backs of, like, the earlier years, and I think there's just 80s or 90s for me.
Yeah,
is the choice.
What a good choice. And that, folks, we do these every now and again where we just cold ask each other a question with zero prep. Paul did not know what that question was going to happen. This is all one live recording, so we have nowhere to run and hide. Next time it's Paul's turn, and I'm pretty sure he's going to get good and hard revenge. So let us know in the comments down below what you think was the best decade for movies. And give us some reasons why, obviously enough. And feel free to suggest a question that we should surprise each other with. And we'll do it pretty much straight away so that we have no time to prep. All right, Paul, you happy with that?
That's great.
Well, then on that note, I'll say I've been Patrick.
I've been Paul.
And we've been Here Aside. We'll see you next time.